I'm gonna hit the record button. All right. So thank you so much for you guys all joining. I'm gonna put you guys on mute, except for Sherry. Yeah. So basically, Sherry and I we're talking about. So first of all, for those that you don't know me, my name is Rich Thurman, and with me I have Sherry. Sherry, you want to say hi?
Hi. I'm Sherry.
Yeah, she is Sherry. And together, her and I run Money Marketing Mindset. And so, we love everything about marketing. We especially love mindset. And we also like money. I'm definitely a capitalist. And I know Sherry is right up there with me. And so we put together Money Marketing Mindset. And, one of the things that Sherry and I are looking at is like, how can we provide more value? And so this is, one of the ways that we're doing that is by providing a webinar once a month. And so this is the October's webinar. So awesome. And you want to add anything?
I don't think so. I think you covered all the bases.
All right.
Big on mindset, big on money, throw in some marketing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Sweet. All right. So now the question is, which screen is it going to show on? All right. Give me 1 second here. What do you guys see on the screen now?
You
see me?
Yeah.
Okay. Do this. And I guess it's going to just keep it there. Alrighty, and then where's my Zoom thingy? Technical difficulties. That's screen 4. So I guess I want this screen, share, and then switch back to this, and then hit play. All right, now what do you see?
Yeah, the slideshow.
Sweet. Technology. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So basically Sherry and I were kind of looking at, what would kind of help, and, we want to do more and to help more people. So we decided to talk about why doing less helps you get more done. Isn't that awesome? So, but again, first, again, my name is Rich Thurman, and I'm with Sherry, and we run Money Marketing Mindset. Let's see here. So actually, let's go back. So a little bit about background about me. I worked for Microsoft for 15 years, and I wrote my first computer program when I was in 5th grade. So that was, early 80s. And I wrote it on a TI 94A. So if you guys remember the company Texas Instrument, they actually created this little keyboard computer thing that you could plug into your TV, and a little cartridge, and it had a basic programming emulator cartridge. So if you turned it off, it went away. And so you could spend all your time writing the code, and then as soon as you turned it off, it was poof, gone, because there's no hard drives. But I got this book with all these programs in there, and one of the things that you could type in all these lines of code, and you make the computer do stuff, or the TV do stuff in that particular case. And one of the programs was text to speech. So it would turn whatever you typed into the TV would say it. And so imagine a fifth grader, 10 years old. That was like so freaking awesome. We had the computer saying all kinds of things that are inappropriate. So that was like my first taste into computers. I really got that computers do what you tell them to do. And then as I grew up, I got more and more into programming and processing and process. And I was always doing business. I had my first paper route when I was 13. And by the time I was 14, I hired my mom. I subcontracted my mom to drive us around on Sundays because we had 3 paper routes. So it was pretty awesome that way. And then worked for Microsoft, and then I got into a lot of automation, game automation. And, I was playing this online game and wrote a program to play it for me. And then I started selling stuff in the game for, money, which was super awesome. And then I got into mindset stuff. So, like Tony Robbins and stuff like that. And then I got trained as a coach to, help people with mindset and coaching. And that turned out to be really awesome with a combination of helping business owners, with their business, with technology, getting out of the way, what's in the way with what they already know so that they're super successful. And so that's kind of like my background. Sherry, you want to jump in and kind of give your background?
Yeah, for sure. So my formal education is actually in healthcare. I have a degree in nursing, and then I decided that nursing wasn't quite my jam, and so I thought administration would be my jam. And so then I went on, I continued my education into healthcare administration. And it turns out that although I, from a young age, have just loved health and wellness and totally been fascinated with science and human body, healthcare was just not my jam. It really bothered me how there was more focus on finances and like the bottom line and so much red tape and just a lot of pill pushing, so to speak, I guess, and not really a lot of focus on preventative or holistic wellness. And so I continued working in the hospitality business and just put healthcare aside. And so I worked in hospitality for, a long time, maybe 15 years, 16 years. Totally loved it. Still totally love it. Do event catering, around the holidays and stuff. And I just loved it. But unfortunately, it's nights, weekends, holidays, crazy hours. And after I got married and had my son, it was just really hard to keep up with work and my crazy life. And at the time I was GM and running a restaurant that sat about 500 people. And so it was so much. I found myself not spending hardly any time with at the time, my husband or my son, who was really young, about a year old at the time. And I was just like, I can't do it. Something has to give. And unfortunately, that what gave was my marriage and my job at the time. And then I went back to bartending, like fast, easy money. And Rich sat at my bar one day and I was like, hey, I know there's more out there for me than this. Like, I got a son. Bartending's awesome because I can write my own hours and make good money and support both of us. But at the same time, like, it's not sustainable long term. So I started talking to Rich and I was like, I got all these big ideas, but I literally have no idea where to start. Like, what do I do? And so he was like, hey, I can help you get a domain name, do this and start that. And I just looked at him like, what do you mean the domain name?
And then out came the napkin.
And then out came the bar napkin, like quite literally a bar napkin, where he was like, all right, I'm going to write some shit down for you. And I was like, okay, like, give me a list of things to do, and went home and got to work. And that was a few years ago.
Yeah. Awesome.
And here I am now.
Yeah. Super awesome.
So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's get into this. All right. Let's see here. So basically what we're talking about is getting more done with doing less, right? So the whole aspect is like, a lot of people like, well, if I go do more stuff, I'm going to get more stuff done, right? And it's actually, paradoxical. It's the opposite. You got to do less to get more done, right? And it's like super counterintuitive. Sure, you have anything want to add anything to that aspect?
Yeah, yes and no. 100% agree. I mean, being a mom that's also single, like, time is so valuable. And so anytime I can do less and get more out of it, whether it's automating or doing meal prep,
Yeah.
it's all.
It's like I get so overwhelmed. It's like, because there's like
Yeah.
there's always stuff to do. There's like tons and tons and tons of stuff, right? And,
Right.
because I had like, the SBCA, I had Think Economic Grow, I had Valley Investment Club, I had Real Estate Investor Community, and then I
Yeah.
had, Landmark and Renatus. I'm like, something's gonna happen. I'm gonna do all this stuff, and then in the end of
Yeah.
the day, what stuff is just not getting done because there's just out of the focus. So that's one of the things
Yep.
that we did is just kind of figured out what really is the most important thing and just focus on those, right? So
Mm.
this is where we came up with this slide. It's focus on the important tasks. So when you limit your time, you force yourself to focus on the important things, and you got to let the rest go. So improving your productivity when completing the important tasks will get you much further than trying to do everything. So, really what that comes down to, and this is one of the things I often coach people is like, where are you spending your, so people come and go, I'm overwhelmed, and I get it, right? Because I get overwhelmed too, but overwhelmed actually doesn't exist out there in the world. You can't point to it, right? You can't
Yeah.
measure it. You can't touch it, smell it, feel it. It's just this concept, and then how do you measure it? So when do you know that you're overwhelmed? When do you know that you're approaching it? Back off, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so really, I think the first thing is that people need to like really kind of like know where they spend their time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll coach people to take a time audit, like spend a week, entire 7 days, and literally get a timer. And like there's an app called Toggle, Toggl, and there's like a tabular, and there's a couple different things out there you can get, but it allows you to set a task and then time, right? And literally like time everything, time you're sleeping, time you're pooping, just like time everything from, including sleeping. Because when you go to sleep, sleep time. And then when you
Yep.
wake up, you immediately
Good hold
stop the
that.
sleep time. And then you're like wake up time, and then brushing teeth time, and putting on clothes time, and doing the dishes time. And like,
Mm-hmm.
what is all the, because everybody's got the same 24 hours, right? And so
Yep.
why is it this one person can be like a billionaire and this other person, like me, like barely can, put two things together, right? So, we got the same time. We're both relatively human with brains and stuff like that. But why does it seem like other people seem to have more stuff done in time? The first thing is to see what you're spending your time on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that becomes important. And then once you know what you're doing, and you can look at the quality of it. And I'll get into more of the quality aspect of it further in the slides. But that right there, once you become aware of where you spend all your time, you're like, holy crap, I got this extra time. So when people came on earlier, people heard Veronica ask me if I got the job, right? And so what all that was about was I did a time audit. I try to do a time audit once a quarter. And I discovered I had 64 hours where I was kind of like just not being productive. So if I
Yeah.
stopped doing some, particular things and added it all up, I had 64 hours. And I'm like, oh, that's like a full-time job. And like, so it'd be so easy for me to do a full-time job today. It would be like just basically go in, spend probably about 2 or 3 months learning the job, and then I would start automating it. And then, and then I could like, do whatever.
Right.
It's kind of how it was when I was at Microsoft. I got it down to like, really got it down to like, 4 or 5 hours a week. That was actual work. And then the rest of the time was just like meetings.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah, what do you want to say?
I was gonna say, and a lot of times too, I don't think that we realize, because we get so caught up in everyday life, that we don't realize how much like dead space there is, or how much time there is. Like that hour of TV that you watch every day like adds up, or that time, that you're commuting, or that time that you're in the shower. All that adds up. And so I know a lot of times while I'm driving, because I do spend a lot of time in my car, probably close to 3 hours a day. And then you throw in like showering, getting ready on top of that, that's a huge chunk of time, and a lot of times if you can listen to, other things while you're doing that, it's huge, and it kind of alleviates some of that dead time or that dead space that you have.
Yeah. I was walking back from Galvanize back to my apartment this afternoon, and I was watching this guy that was a security guard, and he was just sitting there listening to the radio. And I was like, man, what an awesome job, right? Because you could sit there and get paid to just kind of be in that space, but then you could
Right.
listen to like all this stuff on YouTube and like just like get paid to learn. I mean, like
Right.
we are in such an awesome time in life where you can actually like do stuff like that. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But so the first thing, and like focus on the important tasks. And the first thing you need to do is like in reality, what are you actually spending your time on?
And what's important to you as well.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah. So and that goes right into the next slide here. Only a few things really matter, right? So I'm going to read this here. So create it. So in most instances, a few specific tasks make the biggest impact on what you're doing. These important tasks are the only ones worthy of your time. Other tasks may be good, however, they can be handed off to someone else or dropped if the return on investment time isn't great.
where they say delegate and elevate.
Delegate and elevate, yeah. So say more about that. All right, so I will.
Oh, wait, what? I'm sorry.
I was going to say more about that.
Oh, yeah.
Delegate, elevate.
True, right? Delegate that shit out so you can focus on more important things. Like if there's something that only I can do, then that goes to my priority list. If it's something that somebody else can do, delegate that out, and just kind of be an umbrella over it. And let other people do things that are a little more baseline or fundamental. And then it teaches them, which is awesome. And it takes stuff off your plate so you can really focus on those higher end things that only you can do.
Yeah. That was one of the things that was, so with Think Automate Grow, it did pretty well, but it was never really able to get it to fully scale.
Yeah.
In the aspect because there's a whole lot that required, like, I couldn't replicate what I do or what I know, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up just creating a structure where I was like a tech lead, right? And so I'd have 7 people, servicing and helping, they have their customers that they're working with, but then when they get stuck, then they would make an appointment with, so like the customer's making the appointment with them to get unstuck, they're stuck. So then they can make an appointment with me and then I unstuck them. But I never really, found a way to like fully, get the stuff out of my plate and onto other people's plate. But definitely one of the things that helps businesses grow, one is creating a process, and the other one is, with that process, delegating it to other people so that it gets done. So when you wake up in the morning, you have 10,000 gold in your, Dungeons and Dragons online game, and then you can go have fun, right? So, perfect. But the same thing happens with your business. So if you create a process, which is kind of like creating a program, and then, give it to somebody and make them accountable for it, they go do it, and then money shows up in your account. That's cool. All right. So then the question is like, what's worthy, right? So when considering which tasks to do and which to let go, remember, good isn't worth your valuable time and energy. Only the most important tasks are, right? So so the thing is you got to look is like, what is this going to do? If I do this, is it going to turn into cash immediately, or 6 months, or like never? What's there for you as well, Sherry?
Yeah, so I always think like every day I try to do like what I call IPA, which not beer, although after Aiden goes to bed, I had different sort of IPA. But every day I try to at least do some IPAs, which is income producing activity, whether it's following up.
Oh yeah, okay, that's cool.
Or, whatever it is, like all those other things are really important, like networking and, making sure everything flows like it's supposed to, and, checking the systems and the funnels and stuff. That's all really important. But every day I try to do my IPAs, which, are things that I can do that actually produce or lead me to a way to produce income, whether it's, following up with people or, marketing or whatever it is. Like I make sure I set aside certain amount of time every day for income producing activities.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that IPA. It's going to go really well into the next slide. But that reminded me of, so going back to my gaming days, right? So playing computer games online, one of the things that would, specifically a game called StarCraft, one of the metrics was actions per minute, right? And so you could see in the metrics after the game has been completed and there's a winner, the winner is always the person that has the most actions per minute. So that's a super high performance indicator. So if you combined actions per minute with IPA, income producing actions, and then you actually look at your catalog, you're like, what are all the actions you take every day for 7 days? What are all those actions? And then, categorize the actions into income producing actions, and then, figure out where you can, take more actions per minute that would produce income. That's so freaking awesome. I'm glad we're recording this. So, yeah, you heard it there. All right, so the 80-20 rule, right? So the 80-20 rule states, so if you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, it's also known as the Pareto principle. So it's the Italian economist started doing some studies, and he noticed that 20% of, he was studying bean pods, right? And he noticed that 20% of the beans produced 80% of the full yield of all the beans producing, all the bean pods producing beans. And they started looking at this ratio, and it's showing up everywhere, like in traffic and the wealth distribution and stuff like that. So that they have this thing called the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule states that 20% of the inputs account for 80% of the outcomes. This means that 20% of your tasks are responsible for 80% of your desired outcomes. So focus your time and energy on the essential tasks that make up this 20%. So going back to, your IPA and your actions per minute and your whole overall, if you catalog all the actions you're taking, and then look at which ones are IPA, you'll start to see that those actions really are the cause of 80% of your results, right? So the other 80% of the stuff you're doing is just like pointless. So what if you were to stop doing the 80% of where you're wasting your time and start doing more tasks in that 20%? So increase that to like 40% or 30% or 35%, and then what would your outcomes be from there? So that's pretty awesome. Anything you want to add on that?
I don't think so. The only thing that really comes to mind, which is a little bit off subject, but not really, is just the importance of making things that are duplicatable, where you can do the work once and then continue to see the benefits of it.
Oh yeah. So like writing a book or doing a webinar and recording it.
Yeah, right. And then you can use it again and again.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah. And that's like a scalability question as well.
Yeah.
All right. So productivity means, so you got to aggressively identify what's important. You got to focus your valuable time on those tasks and doing those tasks as efficiently as possible. It doesn't matter how much you can do. If you don't create real value with those tasks, you aren't being productive, right? So, so it goes back to is just like, first you got to deal with reality. What actually really are you doing? And then putting a value to all of those tasks that you're doing. And, you have to make a decision. Do you want to go out to eat or go play golf? Or do you want to go, look at, foreclosure lists and go knock on people's doors and see what you can do to help them out, right? What are the tasks that you're going to do that are going to bring you the results that you're looking for? Anything you want to add on this one?
I don't think so. I think you pretty much covered.
Yeah, because I mean, like what we were just talking about, like that's where you get the.
That's all of it. Yeah.
Right? The IPA and actions per minute, exactly.
Yep.
All right, so distractions kill success. Oh my gosh, this is
so true. So true. So many distractions every day.
Yeah, so like I'm sitting here working and then, somebody will come in and distract me and then I'll like literally I'm like in the zone working and then boom, I'm like out for like 15, 20 minutes and like to get back to where I was in that spot.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's the other thing too is like, well, two things. One of the things I learned, and this is a little hack, is, what would life look like if you had an agreement to never have an emergency, right? So, or what would life look like if you had an agreement to never have a distraction? Now, that's not to say that there are no emergencies and no distractions, right? So, like, what do you do for all the stuff that you didn't plan for, right?
You plan for it.
Exactly. It's so freaking like counterintuitive, right? What?
You
I'm like,
plan for the unplanned.
right. Yeah. So when I started putting into my calendar unplanned time, right? So this is the time of my day where I'm going to deal with all the crap that comes up that I didn't plan for,
Yeah.
right? So now I have a time and space for that. And it's like so freaking helpful because then I don't have to like deal with it right then and there because I'm on a task. I'm on this task. I'm doing this thing.
Yeah.
And then something comes up. And I'm like, okay, not a problem, right? Not an emergency. I can do that at 4:00 because I got time for that specifically set at 4:00. Or I can make a decision like if it's like, somebody broke their arm or something like that. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll stop what I'm doing there and I'll move the rest of that to 4:00 and then take over what's going on right there. So I always have that buffer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything else you want to talk about, like distractions? How do you deal with distractions?
So I like to start every day, really with just meditation because I feel like when I start my day, with a clear mind, then my day just goes so much smoother. And a lot of times when I meditate, there's like various types of meditation, but there's like a portion of my meditation where I just allow myself to think just about like whatever. Like a thought comes to me and I address it and then I just visualize myself letting it go. And I find that when I start my day like that, a lot of the side distractions like, oh, I have to do laundry. Oh, don't forget to call mom, oh, make this appointment, stuff like that. I don't think about because I've already visualized myself like thinking it and letting it go. And so then I just have my time later where I address all of that stuff. And so I find that really helps me to just allow my brain to be like, bombarded with all those thoughts and then just let it go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So, like what we found is that true success happens when you stop wasting time on things that only lead to incremental progress, right? So just transform it, go from here to here, if you can see the video. Focus your time and efforts on the most important activities. So, what is most important? Your IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
I love the IPA for so many reasons.
Oh, right. When I said IPA, I was like, Rich is going to go straight to beer.
Let someone else handle the other good things you would like to keep, and the other good things you would like to keep. So you don't have to get rid of everything, right? This is where outsourcing VAs, virtual assistants, automation, and stuff like that. You just delegate it. Elevate and delegate. And then drop the tasks that have a poor return on your invested time, focus, or money. So don't do the things that are a drain. And I mean, these are the 4 keys to success right here. Just like rinse and repeat.
Don't be afraid to say no and set boundaries.
Exactly. Cool.
You have to know what your time's worth.
All right. So needed more information. This pretty much is the end of this, right? So I'm going to open up for some questions and we can talk and stuff like that. But if you want more information and some resources and stuff like that, we have a free toolbox that you can get access to at https://moneymarketingmindset.com. And then with that, I'm going to open this up. I'm going to unmute people's. And what questions do you guys have?
I'm going to take a picture for my social media.
Yeah. So Kevin's on mute. Robert, Rosemary, Veronica, what questions you guys got?
Wait a minute.
Hello.
Oh, okay. I like the idea of prioritizing your time. Like when you get up in the morning, figure out what's most important that, like you said, is going to bring you more money, and then delegate. And I like the idea that you said put away some time for non-important things so that you stay focused on those things that's going to help you make money, and the things that are not, you set a time for that. Stay focused. Don't allow other things to distract you. I had to take Facebook off of my telephone because I was always getting these little pings and always going to look at them and read them and then getting involved and looking up more, looking at recipes, looking at this, looking at the other, and I was losing a lot of valuable time. So you're right, you have to stop things that are stealing your time, your money making time. You have to get rid of them. No matter how difficult it is, you have to stop doing them because they're not going to produce you any money. They're going to drag you down. And you're right, Rich, you're going to be wondering why this person that has billions of dollars, that has the same time that you have, is making more when you guys are you both have the same time. So that's great. I like that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Robert, Kevin, and Rosemary, you guys want to share anything?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. What was that website, or what was that you were talking about that tracks your time?
So there's an app on your phone that I like to use. It's called Toggle, Toggl. And then it allows you to basically you just type in the activity and then hit start, and then it'll time it, and then it'll give you a report. And you put that into Excel, and then you can start, so every time you start a new task, you just quickly type in what you're doing and hit start. And then when you stop it, you hit stop, right? And then if you're repeating the same tasks throughout the day, it's easy to go back to just that task, and I'll keep track of how much time you're spending on it. And then at the end of the week, or in the end of the day, or whatever time frame you want to report on, you can create a report, and that'll kind of give you an eye-opening look at what you're actually spending your time on.
Okay, got it.
It's pretty cool. And then I always recommend people do it for 7 days, right? So you have a full week of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So to kind of give you a really good overview of how you spend your entire week.
Okay.
Right. And then from there, once you have that report, then you can look at everything that's been reported that you've done. And then you got your IPA and, minutes per actions and stuff like that, and go, okay, are these tasks that are worth my time? Right. So.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Thanks.
No problem. All right, Kevin, you were going to jump on. Or maybe not. Can't hear you if you're talking. How about you, Rosemary?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I actually like the app, like you mentioned, the Toggle. I might be spending some time on tasks that I don't need to be. So I will use that for 7 days. I have a lot of things going on. I feel at times I get off track. So that's something I'm working on.
Yeah.
To stay focused. We'll check that out. Thank you.
Yeah, and then the other thing too, I was just thinking about it. If you guys know what the Heisenberg principle is, so Heisenberg was a physicist, and so the Heisenberg principle is that by the act of measuring something, you change it. So you can't really actually ever measure something, because the act of measuring changes what you're measuring, right? And so just keep that in mind when you're keeping track of your time. You're going to be taking time to keep track of the time, right? So it's not going to be 100% accurate, and that's not the point to get 100% accuracy. The point is just to get a relatively good feel for really what is going on with your time. So just keep that in mind. Another little tip that just came to my mind. And then, hey, Kevin, did you figure your stuff out there? You're on mute now. There, now you're off mute. Can you talk? Hello, hello, hello.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. My biggest problem is having so much going on, so many things to do, but a lot of it is the money making stuff that's, providing income and paying all the bills and everything, but it's not the future money making stuff and how to switch that over. Because for me, if construction slows down next year, my business goes down. So
Right.
I'm trying to bank as much money as possible. That's the hard part for me, is trying to switch over and trusting that process that the money will come. And it's just hard for me to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually Googling this right now. And it was a quote somewhere, and I've never found it. Hang on one second.
Gary Vee also has an interesting way of addressing that, where he says, like, what you do between 9 and 5 or 9 and 6, like, pays your bills, and what you do before that and after that creates your legacy. And so even if it's just like a few hours a day, from, like for me, after my son goes to bed, it's those like 4 hours that I can cram all my stuff in.
Yeah. Well,
I can't quite find it, but I read somewhere like, so money today is a lagging indicator of what you did yesterday.
No.
Right? So if you look at what money you have today, it's really not anything that has to do with what's going to happen tomorrow. Right? So in the aspect of like that short-term aspect of like taking the actions that are going to put money into your bank account in the next day or two versus building something that's going to put money in your bank account 6 months from now, right?
Right.
So and that's actually something that I'm currently like working out, because I look at it and it's like a 3-year cycle for me. It's like every 3 years. And something happens in February, March that like just kind of like topples me over. And I don't actually know that. I don't actually experience the problem until like September, October. And I'm like, holy crap. So now I'm starting to be able to looking at the data, right? So it's always data. So the more data you can collect, and go back and look at the model of your life and how you're running it, and it'll help with that. So in that particular case with you, Kevin, you got, if you were to look at how you spend all your time and look at where you want to go and what you want to create, I think that'll help you in figuring out, is it, do I spend 3 hours doing this task that is going to build something 8 months from now? Or do I do only 2 hours of that and then 4 hours of immediate break fix, let's get cash in the door tomorrow kind of actions?
Right. Okay.
Right. And then, I also always follow that fastest path to cash. Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things about that though, and which is what, Sherry and I've been frustrated with, the more I think Sherry frustrated with me on it, I'm just telling myself, is the aspect of like, okay, we want to create money marketing mindset. And we've been working on it for, I think about a year now, right?
I think it's a year in November. So like so close to a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a year since we started money marketing mindset. And the thing that was there is I always operate with what's the fastest path to cash, right? And so money marketing mindset wasn't a priority because I was like working on, well, I got these other assets that I'm going to focus on because they're going to get me cash tomorrow. Well, fast forward 12 months, I'm still not anywhere where I want to be. And, luckily money marketing mindset's been kind of like moving forward. But one of the things and what prompted this particular, talk was like doing more with less. So I'm like, okay, I'm burning the ships on the other one and I'm taking the best things out of those. And then I'm moving them straight into money marketing mindset. And all I'm going to focus on is money marketing mindset. So maybe that kind of helps a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, you guys got any other questions? And I'm going to take that as a no. And Veronica, you're talking. You're muted, but you're talking.
No, I said no. I don't have a lot of questions, but the information you've given tonight is definitely, fill my brains on things that I can change within myself.
Yeah.
Going forward. So I this was, because I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get on with Rich. I could do this, this, and this. I'm like, no, I'll get on with Rich.
Awesome.
And I'm glad I did, because you guys have some great ideas that we can put in place to start making the changes that needs to be made in our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, I want to acknowledge all of you guys for, well, first, before I acknowledge you, so just like the homework, each of you is to go and do an audit. Look at where you're spending your time, right? And it doesn't have to be 7 days, but just do an audit. Actually look at what you're spending your time on.
Even just 48 hours, you'd be surprised how much in 2 days. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then that'll kind of give you a little bit of a glimpse into where the opportunity is for you. And so that's your homework. So I'll do a time audit and then look at where you're spending your time. And from there, then you can start, applying these other principles as far as, that time. And then I just want to acknowledge all of you guys for, jumping on this webinar and taking the time to be with us, and also contributing and asking questions. It is so amazing. And, I can't speak for Sherry, and she'll get to in a second, but I just really thank you, because without you, I don't have a voice, and you make this possible. So thank you. Sherry?
No, I 100% agree. I just thank you guys so much, and it's so humbling, I guess, to think about something and then see it come together. But it doesn't just take me. It takes everybody, and it's really a humbling experience, but it's also really amazing. And so I'm just very grateful and thankful for everybody jumping on, because I know, like Veronica said, I'm sure we all have busy lives, and we could all be doing other things, but we chose to be here, and so that's awesome.
Yeah, awesome, cool. Well, having a great day, and I'll see some of you guys in implementation partners tomorrow, and then otherwise I'll see you soon.
All right, talk to you soon. Thank
All
you
right,
guys.
thanks, guys.
Both.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.